Welcome to today's episode on a guide to gnosis, hidden power structures, and reclaiming your perception. The world you were taught to believe in is incomplete, and increasingly, the evidence backs that up. From declassified government files to whistleblower testimonies, even weather modification, moving from something dismissed as conspiracy theory to openly documented practice, the cracks in consensus reality are widening every single day. As someone who walks between the seen and the unseen through clairvoyant work, mystical practice, and a deep dive into economics and power structures, I can tell you straight up, we're no longer in Kansas. But this isn't just about exposing what they're hiding. It's about remembering who you really are and reclaiming your own capacity to think, feel, and perceive without needing anyone's permission. We've been sold this idea that truth only comes from institutions, governments, media conglomerates, textbooks, or whatever the current expert consensus happens to be. If Wikipedia calls it quackery, it must be false. Question the official story, and suddenly you're labeled unstable, conspiratorial, or dangerous. But the real truth is that gnosis, that direct embodied knowing, is far more reliable than any borrowed belief. This is what mystics have always understood. Gnosis is the moment your soul remembers it has roots beneath the visible world. It's direct revelation, not secondhand spiritual leftovers warmed up in the cafeteria of consensus reality. History is written by the victors, and usually funded by agendas. And from an economic and power structure lens, controlling information is the same as controlling wealth. Those so-called conspiracy theorists have been proven right again and again about things like the Epstein networks, MK Ultra, Operation Northwoods, questions around stolen elections, Watergate, weather modification and cloud seeding, and countless other declassified operations, including how the stock market has been propped up to benefit only a handful of people. The bottom line is we can no longer afford to outsource our sense-making to institutions that literally profit from our obedience. So how do you start shifting, stay neutral, and try what I call upside-down logic? When something is heavily censored or ridiculed, pause and ask yourself why. Let suppression become a signal for curiosity instead of a stop sign. And develop your gnosis through somatic wisdom. When information lands in front of you, notice what your body does. Does it contract or expand? Trust that energetic intelligence more than any intellectual parroting. The main reason for all this mass deception isn't random. It's strategic. After years studying power structures and economics, I've seen that we've been lied to because of where our real power actually lives when it's rooted in love and agency. What's being hidden is your immense creative, spiritual, and energetic capacities. The very things the word occult literally points toward because it means hidden. We're also being kept from technologies and systems that would dissolve artificial scarcity. Things like free energy, suppressed healing modalities, and truly decentralized power. A disconnected person is simply easier to influence, and a fearful population is easier to direct. That's why it's time to take your energy and agency back. Look honestly at what drains you. Which systems, habits, or beliefs leave you too exhausted to even question reality? Make nervous system regulation non-negotiable. Meditation, breathwork, time in nature, creative play. These aren't luxuries. They're quiet acts of resistance against all the manufactured dysregulation. At the same time, we have to be careful. Not every version of awakening is actual liberation. Truth-seeking can become its own cage. You can fall into an endless hall of mirrors, drowning in information without ever integrating it. You can get trapped in fear loops and paranoia, consuming doom without any discernment. You can build your whole identity around opposition, defining yourself only by what you're against. Or you can slip into performative awakening, where spiritual ego just wears a new disguise. True awakening isn't about becoming more afraid of the world. It's about becoming more intimate with reality itself. And truth enters through the cracks. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. It lives in dreams and synchronicities, in art and beauty, in grief and love, in intuition and the wisdom of the body, in imagination and that quiet knowing that there has to be more than this. As V for Vendetta reminded us, people should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. The most dangerous person to the status quo is someone who remembers how to think for themselves, feel their own feelings, create new possibilities, imagine beyond the current systems, and perceive directly without any middleman. Real power has never been about money or influence. It's about sovereign perception and creative capacity. So reject blind belief, borrowed ideology, second-hand spirituality, and the idea that consensus reality is the only reality. Embrace participation instead of spectatorship. Trust your own observation of patterns. Let your body become the antenna for truth. Use creativity to imagine alternatives. Practice discernment, not cynicism or naivety. And above all, choose direct experience, gnosis over hearsay. At the heart of it all, these are the three most important lessons I keep coming back to. Truth is an experience, not a download. The kingdom is within. And gnosis, that direct knowing through your body, intuition, and honest observation, is far more trustworthy than any institutional permission slip. You've been lied to because you are powerful. The deception exists to keep you disconnected from your creative, spiritual, and energetic capacities. From an economic standpoint, an awakened population threatens every system built on artificial scarcity. And awakening itself is about intimacy with reality, not fear of it. Choose participation over cynicism, discernment over blind belief, and sovereignty over any system that demands your obedience. The most dangerous person to the status quo is someone who remembers how to think, feel, create, imagine, and perceive for themselves. So here's my question for you today. What area of outsourced thinking are you ready to reclaim? What official narrative are you quietly questioning right now?